Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As you can see by the title in today's video, we got the top 5 legend builds in NBA 2K20. Now for those who don't know what that means, even though I'm sure a lot of you do, when you hit legend in 2K20, you gain 10 badges in each category, so 40 extra total. You get 10 finishing, shooting, playmaking, and defense, no matter what your build is. Now, what this video is showing the top 5 under those circumstances. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into the video. If y'all enjoy, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, all that good stuff, turn on them noties. But anyway, starting with the video, we got our 2 honorable mentions. So number 1, I'm showing the very common build, which is the rim sharp, as you can see. So a lot of people like to make this build 6'11", 6'10", maybe even 7 foot. I suggest to go with 6'9", just for the mobility reasons. I feel like height isn't that big a deal. Maybe if you play a lot of 2v2, I suppose, but mobility in this game is so big with the pick and roll. But anyway, we're not here to talk about the heights and weights and all that. I'm just showing how dominant these builds can be. Now, like I said, starting off, I just got the 2 honorable mentions. The reason I don't have this build in my actual list is just the ceiling is pretty low on it, if you ask me. Just the fact that gaining 10 playmaking and 10 finishing isn't the biggest deal with this build. Now don't get me wrong, gaining 10 shooting and defense would be big time, but like I said, the ceiling on it is a bit low in my opinion. And moving along, we can just get to the next one. Now I have 2 honorable mentions, and that's all there is. Now this one right here is the 6'8" play defender. Most of you probably know it as the X I know nut build. Now the thing about this is I already had the 6'5" play defender in here, and I just wanted a little bit of variety in this video, so we'll just move along with that in mind. This build does belong on the list. It's probably the 3rd best or maybe even 2nd best build at legend. It's just I wanted to kind of show some variety, so just understand that when I don't have this in the actual list. Now moving along, this first one may be a little gimmicky to some of you guys, but listen, if you don't agree with the list, just let me know. Feel free to leave a comment of your top 5, top 3, top 1, whatever it may be. But anyway, to explain what number 5 is, this is my own build. The slash defender, 6'9", small forward, the speed invert pie chart, and then I only upgraded 3-pointer and ball handling and a little bit of pass accuracy just because I had a little bit left over. Now, what I would say with this build is you go crazy on the finishing and defense, put a little bit extra into pass accuracy, or if you wanted mid-range, you could. But look at these ratings. You got like all crazy finishing and defense stuff, contact dunks like crazy, and then when you hit, now the physicals aren't exactly how they're supposed to be, but when you hit the max ability with this build, 85 speed, 86 vert, 85 strength as well. So it's just a crazy build in the first place. The playmaking ability is actually really good with this, combined with the fact that you just slash a lot. And then like I said, I would suggest to go 6'9". The speed and height combined, along with just great defense, great finishing, and then the ability to be able to shoot with 11 shooting badges. Now, like I said, I would kind of marginalize your shooting ability by just upgrading 3-pointer. The thing that's always the thing about these like non-shooting builds, quote unquote, is to make them a sort of shooting build, you have to go really high on things like post fade, free throw, mid-range. The thing about hitting legend with it is that you don't have to do any of that, and you can just have the 1 shooting badge point that you're supposed to get, but then still get 11. So anyway, that's my number 5 build. Like I said, if y'all disagree with anything on this list, feel free to let me know. Now, number 4, I got the 6'2" two-way sharp speed pie chart. Now again, this is a very out the box build right here. A lot of people would not suggest to use this because of the lack of playmaking ability. Now, for those who have been with the channel, you know this build pretty well. My man Kitchen, my main point guard duo that I run with, he uses this build at 6'4". Now, the thing that I've come to realize in this game, at 6'2", these point guards just move different, bro. They have a faster jump shot. They move a lot faster as well. It's kind of crazy how it all works. Now, I would suggest, boom, probably end up with like 12, 18, and 22. At the end of the day, you get 11 finishing badge points with 77 driving dunk. Now, obviously at 99.9, you get like 82 driving dunks, but I'm not going to detail that too much. At the end of the day, this build at 6'2", you will not believe what this thing is capable of. So you're going to see, boom, you move down to 6'2", you lower the wingspan and the weight and all that stuff too. Now, I would suggest maybe go a little bit higher just for like, boom, you gain like literally a strength without losing anything. So you're seeing I'm just playing around with the weight at this point. But anyway, when you go down on the wingspan, you can end up with 82 ball control. Now, again, this video purpose of it is to detail at 99 at legend, just the best ability of all these builds. Now, imagine this build at 99.9 with 87 ball control, 88 3-pointer, and then 90 steal, 93 lateral quickness, 89 perimeter D, still has solid finishing ability, 31 defensive badges, along with, I think, 22 playmaking badges, and then almost 30 shooting badges as well, with 11 finishing and then 76 driving dunk. It would still have 99 speed, 99 excel, with solid vert as well. This build, I think, would be a problem to deal with as far as it could guard the ball handlers of the other team while still being a great point guard for you personally. So, and then if you run into some ball control like problems as well, you could always run with a floor general teammate with this build as well. But anyway, I'd probably suggest go sharp takeover, because you may at the end of the day be a spot up with this as well. But there's so much you could do with it. You could spot up, you could use the ball as a ball handler, you could guard ball on defense, you could fly around off ball. It doesn't matter what you do with it. I think it'd be a great build. Now, you don't see it very often. Now, speaking of seeing it very often, you see this build very often, the 6'2" play sharp. Now, the thing about this build that I couldn't really figure out, and feel free to let me know in the comments if you made this build, if you would go with more finishing or more defense. Now, I decided to go with the defense and still upgrade driving dunk all the way, because at the end of the day, with 11 finishing badges and with this build, the elite of the elite will find ways to just shoot three-pointers with this build, but if they're being forced to drive, the driving dunk I feel like would be enough to finish pretty well. But anyway, you see we go 6'2". Again, I want to stress to those of you who don't really know, the 6'2" mobility and how fast these players move and how fast their jump shot is just out of this world. There's a new wave of like 2K where, and you're gonna see a lot of these dudes pretty recently or pretty soon, where they rock out with these 6'2s. I'm telling you, these things are crazy. But anyway, you get the deal with the play sharp. I mean, that build is just out of this world as far as the finishing. Well, not the finishing. That's probably the worst part about it. But it's out of this world with the shooting, playmaking. You still get almost 20 defensive badges and then 11 finishing. It's just, I think that is ridiculous. Now, the problem with that is it doesn't fit on to 2v2 all that much. And boom, as we talk about 2v2, this is a build that dominates the 2s. And for this to hit legend would be even more ridiculous. So you're going to see this is the 6'5" play defender. Now, obviously the thing about this build is it lacks in the shooting a little bit. Now, when you hit legend, you're going to see you get 20 shooting badges with 67 three-pointers still. This build is an ISO machine. Now, real quick before I go into this into detail too much, let me know what you guys would do. I know there's probably a lot of people who would rather just drop their interior defense for driving layup and stuff like that. Let me know what you would do with this build. Now, I feel like that's not exactly the smartest thing to do, but at the end of the day, you do rely on driving quite a bit with this build, so I probably should have dropped something a little bit more for the finishing ability, but just let me know what you would have done differently. I guess I didn't put too much thought into it, and you see I'm just dropping the slightest possible things, but at the end of the day, I'm just here to explain the builds itself, not really how to make it, just how dominant it could be if built properly. But like I said, I probably didn't build this the best way. I do understand that. So if anybody's got some beef with that, just feel free to still let me know. I know this isn't the best way to make it. Now, I also didn't really know what to do with the wingspan. I feel like with a lock, you always want to go with a high wingspan, but with this build, you do lack a little bit in the ball control if that's the case, and then I would still suggest to go slash takeover. Now, real quick, let me not get ahead of myself too much. I want to explain how crazy this build can be with these badge points. So let's go all the way back to the badge points real quick. You're going to see we end up with 10 on this spot. So boom, it's like this. Now, you can still rock contact finisher, slithery finisher, stuff like that, things that help you dunk. Now, I do understand it is a little bit more tough to make this work, but this build with 20 shooting badges, 30 playmaking, and 33 defense. Defensive nightmare, still a great ISO ball handler, and then obviously it can still spot up on offense as well. Fits into the 3v3 as a spot up, fits into the 2v2 as the ball handler and just ISO player. And like I said, it's a crazy lockdown build. It's just one of the most well-rounded builds in all of 2K20, and for this to get even more badges in 10 apiece on every aspect would just be like game-breaking at that point. Now, honestly, I'm surprised nobody's done this video yet where, you know, they detail the top 5 builds at Legend. I know, you know how crazy it would be for a Legend to be able to just, you know, bring this to you firsthand and just show you some of these builds, but we all know there's obviously Legends out there that have some builds like these, and what you're about to see next, honestly, most of the Legends themselves always pick this build. Now, like I said, the 6'2s are taking over 2K20. It's as simple as that. Yo, catchphrase right there. I know y'all be on me for that. But, no, anyway, I would suggest go finishing and shooting pie chart with this build. It's the BP build at 6'2", so just understand you're going crazy on offense. And then the thing about this build, honestly, for the most part, is that it's really tough to figure out what to put for the defensive versus playmaking. And maybe if you have defense and playmaking at the right ability, you lack shooting a little bit. But you're going to see with this build, honestly, we're not going to worry too much about the playmaking badges at that point, just because you're going to have such crazy playmaking badges anyway at hitting legend. You're going to have 23 even with this ability right here. So you're going to see, we're going to value ratings a little bit more while we do this. So even though I say that, post fade is obviously something that we can still put up. Well, while you see all this happening, boom, you get 16, 21, 14, and 6. Now, looking back at this, boom, now you have 26, 31, 24, and 16. By far, one of the craziest, most well-rounded builds, except for, like I said, the play defender is like by far the most. Now, this one is just well-rounded in the right aspects, where it has great finishing, shooting, and playmaking. Lacks a little bit in the defense, but it gets uplifted by the fact that you get 16 now instead of 6. So anyway, this right here is my number one build. 6'2". You go pretty low on the weight. I don't know if it's exactly minimum. Okay, yeah, so I did minimum. And then minimum wingspan. So you're going to see, boom, you end up with 87 ball control, 83 three-pointer. Now, again, just on top of all of this, you guys have seen this build firsthand. When you hit 99 overall with it, you get the contact dunks, you get crazy ball control, the three-pointer is super high, your mobility is still good with the speed and excel, and then the vert is still solid. It's not lovable, but it's still good. And then I would suggest go slash takeover. There's a lot of people like BP uses the playmaker takeover. Sharp takeover is crazy too. Honestly, anything could be good as far as the finishing. You know, you go with slash takeover, playmaker takeover, or sharp. But anyway, like I said, the 6'8" play defender that I showed earlier, this build right here, I would suggest like this build should be probably like number 3, right in front of the other, you know, like right after the other play defender and right between the 6'2" play sharp. This build is very good, but like I said, just for variety purposes, I didn't want to also show this. I felt like it'd be kind of whack to just show 2 play defenders back to back, just 3 inches difference of height. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all that good stuff. And again, like I said, I know I didn't make all these builds in the best way. This is just me explaining to you guys what would be the craziest builds to have 10 extra badges in each category. And I'd be talking to my homies on the game a lot about this stuff, and I just figured a lot of you may have the same conversations, like, yo, imagine that build at Legend, or imagine that build at Legend. Like, I just think it's cool to like think about this stuff, because it's just cool to kind of imagine like the best player build in the game. Simple as that. But anyway, hope y'all enjoyed. Like I said, if you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all that good stuff. Let's leave, put playmaking in the comments if you made it to the very end of the video, or just put play in the comments if you made it to the very end of the video and you want to show your support, that you made it all the way through, show your loyalty. But hey, anyway, other than that, hope y'all enjoyed. If we get this to like 500 likes, I'd really appreciate that. If you want to see more videos like this, where I just kind of break down like the best builds, top 5 builds in whatever sense of the game, feel free to let me know if you want to see more of that. Or if you want to see more gameplays, feel free to let me know for all my subs that are still watching and listening to this part of the video. But anyway, other than that, hope y'all enjoyed, and take it easy, man. Peace.